are live from beautiful, historic downtown Ashtabula, Ohio, here in the beautiful Bridge Street area. I'm Ryan, my partner, Sam, the voice of 440 and Goal, Torres. How you doing tonight, bud?
Listen, it's every time we do a show, it is a great night for me. This is the one thing I look forward to. We get to talk about high school football. We're talking about Ashtabula sports, but tonight, some nights are better than others, and tonight is going to be a great night. I cannot tell you guys how excited I am to have Ashtabula royalty. This is a guy that if you don't know him, then you don't know football, and you don't know this county. I put it out there. Matt Hatchett going to join us on the show tonight, and it's going to be a great time. The timing couldn't be any better. Jefferson football is back, and it probably hasn't been as good as it has been since he was there. So that's really the biggest thing tonight. I'm super excited about. How about you, Ryan?
Oh, I'm pumped. I mean, number 6 seed, I do believe, for the Jefferson Falcons out there.
That's right.
You know, we talked about at the beginning of the year, Coach Brandon Hanna doing his thing out there. The Hitch and Hodge train last year rolling through Jefferson. But they put up some amazing numbers, 1,000 and 1,000, I do believe. Correct, Sam?
And Hitchcock got another 1,000 this year.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later into the show because we got somebody on the line that we can't wait to bring on to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever in 440 and Goal history, we are going to welcome former NFL player and current podcaster on the wildly popular Get Your Popcorn Ready. You folks get your popcorn ready. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Hatchett.
What's going on, fellas? How you guys doing, man?
It's a great night. It's a great night. Let me start off by saying, first and foremost, thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's just a great time to be a Falcon fan.
Yes. Yeah, and we're not talking Atlanta Falcons, right? We're talking the Jefferson Falcons tonight, right?
Never Atlanta. As far as this show's concerned tonight, we're Vikings fans.
There you go. Yeah, they're skull. No, but yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's a great time of the year. You know, it's October. You got the Major League Baseball. You got the NBA starting. You got high school sports going into their playoff season. And, of course, the NFL is midseason, so greatest time in sports in October. And, of course, great for Jefferson this year. We get to go talk about playoff football for the first time, in a long time at Jefferson.
Yeah, it's really just, not only are they talking about playoff football, they get to have host it right there at Falcon Pride Stadium, which how amazing is that? Firsthand how tight that community is and how much football means out there.
Yeah, I mean, home field advantage, right? That's what you want. You want, people to come into to your own domain and, show them what you guys are made of and kind of let the homegrown cooking, take care of itself. Hopefully the fans are loud. Hopefully everybody's screaming. The kids are there screaming, having a good time. And, most importantly, let's end up with a W, though. I think that'll cure all, at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yes, it will.
That's the big thing. Out there in Jefferson right now, they got a couple guys that are really just outstanding athletes. One of the kids' names is Grant Hitchcock. He's their quarterback, a dual threat guy, much like somebody who we're talking to right now. This is a kid last year who had 1,000 in the air and 1,000 on the ground. He has a really great connection with a kid named Trent Hodge. And what people are saying is it reminds them of that Hatchett and Ryan Banks connection.
Yeah, Hatchett and Banks. Yes, sir. They're probably better than us. They should be better than us. I hope they are better than us. But, it's great that they're having that connection. And again, I'd like to go back and kind of see where it installed from. Have they been working out in the off season together? How much training did they do together in the off season? Because I know back in the day, me and Banks, we did hours upon hours of training just for those, 10 games for it to show up and, have some success on the field. So, hopefully like me and Banks as well, hopefully they become lifelong friends and understand the situation that they're in right now is football is because of it. But of course, it's teaching you life lessons as, that's the most important thing about high school football.
Yeah, and some of the things they don't even necessarily have to be. Some of those friends that you gain from football, especially in this area, don't even necessarily have to be on your same team because we got one guy that speaks super highly of you that I'm a very big fan of, and that's my friend Sean Allgood.
Sean, my man.
Old goody.
Yeah.
All goody. What's funny about Sean? I tell people all the time, I'm like, because people always just talk about names. I go, there's this one dude that had the best name in the world. I go, his name is Sean Allgood. Nobody believes me that his last name was Allgood. I'm like, yeah, it was Allgood, and he was good at every sport. He was all good, and he was the dude, back in my hometown. But no, I remember playing against him, and just watching his career in high school. I'm like, yo, that was the man. It was you look at professional athletes, they're untouchable. College athletes at the time, because you didn't have your YouTube and Twitter and stuff, so those guys are still untouchable. But your high school, you could actually see, feel, and touch. So I remember watching him and taking some things from his game and applying it to mine. But yeah, definitely Sean Allgood, like that. That's my man for sure. 100 grand.
Yeah, and when you talk about
it.
taking some of those parts of his game and installing into yours, I'm just going to go a little bit historical here. As in that 1991 season, your senior year, you went 62 for 134 with 1,053 yards, 10 touchdowns, rushed for 366, get 9 more touchdowns. That is some big offensive numbers out there.
I love his grin he's got over there. I love it.
But you know what's crazy? That's like nowadays the numbers are so crazy. You're like, most kids are like, that's it, But hey, kids, back in the day, that was a lot, because we didn't air it out. We didn't throw it, 90% of the time. Like all these, 4 wide. I don't even. What's funny? We didn't have a 4 receiver set. We didn't have. It wasn't even in the playbook. I think we had 2, of course. Maybe we had 3, but again, it was a 2 running back, 3 running back, wishbone type of offenses back in the day. And again, you also had to throw it out of those formations. But of course, now out here living in California and in Los Angeles and seeing the high school dynamic, it's, all 4 wide. It's all 3 wide. Nobody's running, 3 running backs or anything like that for the last 10 years. It just doesn't happen. So finally getting to see how it's coming to fruition through college and through the NFL, it's still shocking that, there are quarterbacks that, come out of, of the Midwest area and might only throw the ball 10 or 15 times a game, when you have a California kid literally throwing the ball 40 to 50 times a game.
Yeah, it's amazing because you see that here as well. There are still a couple teams out here that are running, wing T and wishbone and keeping it under 12, 12 passes a game is a game where they feel like they aired it out. And then, you look at teams like Edgewood where they threw the ball 247 times this year.
Set, let it ride, flying down the field.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, they should. That's good coaching right there.
When you got to Jefferson, I believe Coach Kearney was your coach?
Yep. It's funny. I talked to him about a week ago. Coach Kearney called me about a week ago. He was the head coach. Again, still a friend and mentor to this day. And again, it was more than football. Looking back at the moment, it was just all football. But again, the things he instilled in me as a young man and to be a young adult, I still remember these things to this day. And I still remember the physical training to this day. I remember like training to run the option, like my footwork. It was 1, 2, 3 pitch, or 1, 2, 3 keep going. And if you woke me up out of the bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, I could do that exact same footwork today. It's that, instilled in me, that drilled in me from 20-something, 30-something years ago now. Yeah.
Is when you got a chance to take over the reins, I believe you were a sophomore when they put that on there. Did the offense kind of change around your ability? Because I do remember from that era of football, it was not a lot of throwing, and 1,000 yards at that time. They always talk about the price difference from there to there. So I'm going to go the yard difference. So if you upgrade the yards, I'm going to say this guy would have been a 3,000 yard guy in today's game.
Pretty much. I agree. Yeah, it probably been about 3,000, because we were, like, I tell kids now, like, I was throwing 15-yard comebacks, back in the 90s. Like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I was throwing those, like, Banks would run a 15-yard out, an outcut. And like back then that was unheard of. And but I think the system, it was friendly for me. I remember my senior year, Coach Kearney did let me call my own plays. So I think just from day one, he kind of knew that I had the football IQ to run his offense. And of course, it showed up 2 years later when my senior year, he just let me just call plays every game, every play. So I really remember that. But I remember I had to hone into exactly what he was trying to get across. And then as a quarterback, especially knowing the position a little bit better now, as a quarterback, it's more about psychology of the players more than it's about the system. It's about being in the huddle, them looking at you, having control, them believing in you, and then leading them out to victories or out to have a good play, to be successful on that play. Like, that's what quarterbacking is about. Of course, people can say it's about arm strength and arm talent, and you can take the best guys. Everybody has some deficiencies, from Tom Brady to Drew Brees to Aaron Rodgers. So you can talk about their deficiencies, but they're so good at being the quarterback, being the general. And I think that's what's most important about the position. For me at that time, it was just, again, about being a leader at the time more than playing a quarterback position.
That's awesome. So one of my fondest memories, Matt, was in 2001 over at the Lakeside 9 building, the old Harbor building.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget you coming in there and having a chat with, a whole slew of ninth graders.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of us. There was a boatload of us.
I wish we had that on video.
Right? It would be awesome, wouldn't it? Just, all the stargazing going on, knowing who you were at that time, But how important is it to you to get a chance to speak with youth?
I speak with youth a lot, almost literally every day. I've been doing Elite 11 Nike circuit for years. So I get to go around the country and look at the top high school football players, at some camps here and there. But again, I'm always having the conversation because there's just so many moving pieces with kids trying to make it to the next level. Next level is not always NFL. Next level could be a Division III school. Next level could be a Division I scholarship. Next level could be, where do I go to high school? And I'm just always having these conversations with parents and players and things of that sort. So I love it. I love consulting. I love, just helping out, because that's what it's about, helping these kids get to the next, their next phase of their career. But I think that's probably the most important piece. Is it's not about the football. It's not about the football piece. It's about more of the character and them installing in themselves who they're going to become, right? Football. You guys know football. It teaches you discipline, teaches you work ethic. You can't fake football. And I see these kids, it's like, if you really want to go do something, you can do anything. And if you want to go out and make yourself into a Division I player, you can. But they have to also understand you're going to have to sacrifice some things too. And I think more, as you see on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, you'll see a 16-year-old or the 14-year-old working out a certain way. And you're like, that kid's probably going D1. The workout that he's doing, I've seen grown men do, and he gets to do it for 6 more years before he becomes a grown man. So he's going to end up being a good college player or NFL player. And I tell kids all the time, if you're not doing that, then you're probably not going to make it, but they think, because everybody thinks it's easy. Everybody thinks it's so easy to go to play Division I football, to go to the NFL, and they see things on TV and, contracts and highlights. And, that's just, everybody wants it now. But it's, of course, as right, less than that 1% isn't really going to go to play top notch ball.
Yeah, and you talk about character being a big part of the football and your success as well as a football player. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is, so you go from being the top dog, the biggest, baddest of the group out here, and you go to Mercyhurst for a little bit, and then you go to Langston, where, and I guess the biggest character dilemma you're going to go there is they move you from being the quarterback to the wide receiver. Something we see a lot. But how did that transition go for you? Is that something you struggled with?
I didn't struggle with it. Again, I don't struggle with obstacles. I just don't. It's like I just move on. It's like you're going to be told no at some point in your life. You're going to be told you can't do this at some point in your life. You're going to be told that it's not going to work. Those are just natural things that happen to people, right? And I think just, successful people, they just say, okay, and they go do it anyway. And I just remember my college coach saying to me, he's like, we had a receiver 2 years prior, Ted Alford, who I thought was the best receiver I've seen in college in a long time. And he's like, he didn't go to the league. And like, well, we sent our best guys. And so none of you guys here are going to go to the league. So focus on college. Don't worry about the league. And like, and everybody I remember coming up to me after practice, did you hear him? He said, you're not going to the league. I'm like, so what? Millions of people probably think I'm not going to the league. What's one more, you know? But those things never discourage me. It's just like, that's part of it. I think that's part of the obstacles that you have to face throughout the whole process.
Yeah, and you move over
Amazing.
to you become a wide receiver and a pretty good one at that,
Thank you.
which leads you into a an NFL career playing with some of the top. Like every time you're playing on an NFL team, you're playing with the top of the top, but you really got to play with the top of the top.
Top of the top, yeah.
We'll bring up a couple little of your stats on here. You go out in that NFL, 60 receptions, 887 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I'm sure that you have a ton of memories that you remember from the NFL, and I'm not going to push you through all of them, but there's one I want to talk to you about and tell me what was going through when this happened.
Okay.
Magnificent hands, too. Cunningham drops. Has time. Touchdown. Matthew Hatchett.
You want to know what's really funny? So I think on everybody's mind, we said we're going to the Super Bowl. Like that put us up by 10. Like we were literally on the sideline about to go over flights and hotels, and this is who's coming from my family to the Super Bowl, and this is what we're going to do when we get there. We get there on Monday, and we'll have Tuesday off, whatever. It's like that's what was really going through our mind. And of course we just didn't finish the game, but at that moment, yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl. And really, I'm like, okay, we're going to go to the Super Bowl and I'm going to be Super Bowl MVP. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
I do have to ask, so, the accolades that you have there, and obviously that amazing video. I mean, I think anyone would trade for that moment with you in some way, shape, or form. I could pretend to point up to the sky and do that, but it's not going to be the same.
Right.
I don't know whether or not that's your favorite memory, but what is your favorite memory from playing in the NFL?
Man, favorite. You know what? It has to be. I get emotional when I talk about my draft day because people don't understand the struggle you have to go through to make your dream come true. And the thing is, the struggle is 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, and hours. But what you get from it, it's literally only a 3-second moment. It's a 5-second moment. It's not like you get your dream and then you ride off into the sunset and enjoy the dream. Because like you said, as soon as I get drafted, I'm a nobody. I got to go play against Hall of Famers and compete. And, I'm absolutely a nobody. But it was that 3-second moment when Denny Green called me and he said, Matthew Hatchett, do you want to be a Minnesota Viking? That moment, like that's it. Like that's something I'll never forget. But it goes back to every single squat and push up and running up the hills and in sand and strength shoes that we had back in the day, parachutes, what we ran with back in the day. All of those moments just like flashed through my eyes, and I was just like, wow. When Denny Green said that, that was the moment. Like you can't take that away from me.
Amazing.
So your NFL career, obviously, you spent some time with, a big time with the Vikings, but you also got a unique opportunity where you got to go into another country, another continent, and absolutely dominate them. Can we talk about NFL Europe a little bit?
Yeah. Again, it was interesting. I felt disrespected when my agent called. He said, "Do you want to go play in NFL Europe?" I'm like, "No. Why would I do that?" And I remember I was coming off of a shoulder injury, and he was just like, well, most teams and general managers, they don't think you can run anymore. And I said, but it's my shoulder. Why would, but it's just an excuse to say, we don't think you can play anymore. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll go. Since they don't think I can play anymore, they don't think I'm good anymore, whatever. But I told my agent at the time, I go, if they don't like me now, they're just not going to like me. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to make people look stupid. and they're still going to say, well, I can't run or I can't do this. It's the same thing. Wherever you get drafted at, right, in the NFL, they keep that label or that tag on you throughout your whole career. And the only thing that's going to happen is if something that they can't control happens. I'll give you two examples, right? So one was Brandon Marshall. I remember I was watching TV, and Brandon Marshall, I think he was on the practice squad prior to him playing, and then he played in his first game, had like number 6 on or 8 or whatever, and he caught like a 5-yard hitch, and he broke a tackle, and then he ran by the safety, and then he outran the corner like a 60-yard touchdown. I'm like, I don't know who that dude is, but he's a dude, you know. But he wasn't no first-round pick, so the general managers were like, they probably didn't even care, right? And I'm saying that because there's so many times where they want it to go a certain way, but it doesn't go that certain way. You just have a guy like that just take off. And when the crowd and the team and the organization sees big plays like that, they're like, hey, we have to get this guy the ball. We have to keep him around. And of course, my partner, Terrell Owens, I argue with him all the time. I go, you got to San Francisco. J.J. Stokes was supposed to be the next Jerry Rice. J.J. Stokes was considered a bust. Therefore, that gave you an opportunity to play and play well. And all of a sudden, you had all the pieces around you and your career got to develop. I go, and I was in Minnesota. If Randy Moss would have been a bust, I would have had more opportunities. But Randy Moss was the opposite of that, and I didn't have 0 opportunities. And so it's like all these things, things have to play out. There's more than just I'm good, I'm quick, I'm fast, and catch. Like all these things are fine and dandy. That's just going to get you there. But all these things have to play out over time, and then only by the grace of God can you stay healthy. And of course, have a play 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. And then anything after that, you're really just saying, I'm in a great position to be successful with the team around me, with the quarterback around me, with the offensive line or whatever around me. So all these pieces kind of have to come into play during your career.
One of the things that I remember, because there's always been a deep appreciation and pride in you and your career and everything you've done, because it's home. This is you talked about on Friday nights, and this is what we tell students when we come out here. You seniors, like you talked about, all good. You guys are the biggest and baddest. You can buy a jersey that says, Matt Hatchett or Emmitt Smith or whoever you want and put it on the back. But on Friday night, I can actually do this to a Grant Hitchcock or a Matt Hatchett at some time. One of the things I can remember is hearing a guy by the name of Chad Ochocinco talk about, they asked him what is a receiver, like most underrated receiver, and he said Matt Hatchett, or Rook as he called ran the best routes that he's ever seen. And that's something that's always stuck with me. For you, because it's just very cool to see somebody that, I've always thought was the best receiver I'd seen as well, when you get that other people talking about that. But, as with all things, professional football career comes to an end, and then you start that next chapter. And your next chapter is pretty cool as well, as you're dipping your foot into the Hollywood game. And, talk a little bit about Hatchet Films.
I do. I like to be a part of, or I like to create something tomorrow that didn't exist today. Like, I just think that there's so many things and opportunities for people to do in this world. And I just look to create stuff. And of course, myself producing a couple movies, my first film with Brad Furman, he just, again, big studio director now, but, again, the reason we bonded is kind of like our love for sports. We were playing basketball every other day back in the day together. He's like, let's make a movie. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how, but yeah, let's do it. That sounds cool. And then I remember a time I went to a Bad Boys 2. I think it was my end of my years at Jacksonville. I went to the Bad Boys 2 premiere. And I remember sitting down, and the screen opened up, whatever's pitch dark, really quiet. And of course, I think Will's scene was the first scene. So and then the crowd went crazy when Will came on the screen. And I was just like, the only other time I felt like that, the goosebumps that I got, is when I ran out of a tunnel of my first NFL game. And I was like, you know what? I gotta do this. I don't know what this is, but I got to do this because I want that feeling, you know. And I think that's the chase of the unknown. It's the chase of, can you create something that didn't exist? It's the chase that, can you go down this path that no one's ever even saw you going. You didn't even see you going down. I never grew up saying anything about movies. I don't think I probably went to 5 movies my whole life before I got to the NFL. I didn't, you know, I wasn't that guy. So, you know, I had a passion to do something a little bit different. And I think the biggest reason I did it when I got done, my sports agent at the time was Dwayne Martin. And I remember the biggest hurdle was information. So I was like, you know what, when I get done, if I'm seeking information, if I need to learn something every day, my mind will be 100% on this, and I won't have to worry about football. That's what I want. Because again, I've been playing, you know, I've been 199.9% football since I was 7, 8 years old, literally. Like, I did it every day. I did something stupid, throw the ball to myself or take notes or write plays on a notebook, whatever those little things I was doing. I did it every day for literally, you know, till I was probably 31, 32 years old. And I knew it was going to be tough. I knew it was going to be tough to just forget it. So I was like, let me engulf myself into this lane of Hollywood and entertainment and see where it takes me. Again, the end goal is not the reward. You know, people have to understand, like, yeah, you can put the gold at the end of the rainbow, but it's the journey. That's all that matters. And all the people I've met in these last, you know, 10 years, and the new relationships, and, you know, the new focus and the new mindset I have for myself, it's just amazing for me to say, you know what? I really can do anything I want in this life. Have to be able to take the punches, have to be willing to take the no's, have to be willing to, you know, be laughed at times, or be, no, you can't do it. The same stuff you hear when you're 12. You're too small, too short, too slow. Then you hear them again when you're 18. And then you hear them when you're 22, when the girl breaks your heart and say you're too ugly. It's all the same thing. But if you learn to take it and just, like, it doesn't matter, I'm going to move on, go down this dark lane that nobody thinks I'm going to be able to go down, and I'm going to light it up. Like, it's going to be the approach. And so starting Hatchet Films, I just, like, you know, I don't know what the end goal is, you know, and I did the first film, loved it, did Crew, loved that. And then I was like, a couple years, like 2019, created this podcast, so created a podcast space as well. I didn't even know what a podcast was when we created podcasts. You know, I was like, okay, cool, but how do we do it and all this stuff? And again, you just learn on the way, and you take the lumps, and you continue to fight the fight. And so I'm just love to create stuff, again, out of thin air, and try to bring it to the world.
Yeah, and you talk about the podcast. I mean, you've done some great, you know, films as well. You know, like The Take, and, you know, you've got to work with cool people like John Leguizamo and all these great people. And now you've got this what's an extremely popular podcast. And I think because your guys, you know, you and T.O., you guys have this passion to talk in general about guys who have a shared journey with you.
Yeah, and again, because it's it's about sports and entertainment, right? So we don't want to just take the athlete and say, hey, it was 3rd and 4, they went cover 2, and we should have ran a draw or slant. Like, no, it's not football talk. It's really about transition. It's about life talk. And when I'm talking about transition, there's tons of CEOs that were at Fortune 500 companies and got fired, and then they had to start over. They had to transition, right? When we talk to Cedric Entertainer about his comedy career, like, he had to transition into acting, right? We talked to Ice Cube about transitioning from a rapper to the acting. It's always about transitioning, right? The Michael Strahan, of course, is the biggest piece that's right in front of us, because he's on TV every day, and he was a huge name in the NFL. But a lot of these things, when it's happening, nobody knows what you're going through, but you have to get up and fight that fight every day. So I wanted to bring it home to just a regular person who might lose their job, a regular 9 to 5, and you're going to have to transition into another 9 to 5. You can't sit at home crying about it. You can't be like, whoa, it's me, and the boss didn't do this, and I was only late one time. Nobody cares. So you have to learn to transition in and out of this life. And I think that somebody was just telling me the other day, I think when we were growing up, your parents would have an estimated 2 to 3 careers throughout their lifetime. right now, I guess the millennials, if you will, next gen, whoever they are, they're supposed to have between 10 and 13 careers. So you're going to transition. You're going to lose your job. You're going to have a new job, and then that's going to not go well. It's like that's just part of it. So I really like to kind of bring it back to reality. It's not just an athlete that has to transition from being a superstar or making millions of dollars and then going into society. It's the regular, everyday 9 to 5 who's going to have to transition anywhere from working, at a Burger King to a Wendy's or, in a Fortune 500. It's just part of the world and what makes it exist.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. It's just great advice to go by, and it's when you see successful people, it's very easy to see why they're successful, and I think that it shines through with you. I want to circle back real quick to a little bit of the area football that's going on here. We've got now a lot of teams making the playoffs, including the Jefferson Falcons. And then, Ryan wanted to go and ask you one of the questions about the playoffs.
Yep. Just waiting for the proper time. As you can tell, Sam talks way better than I do. Let's just get that out there. That's how that one goes. Everyone that watches knows that too. So
absolutely.
16 teams in the playoffs now. We were discussing prior to, we don't know if it was 4 or 8 in your era of football, that 92, 91, but do you think it's a benefit to have more teams in the playoff, 16 versus the 8 that it was before?
I definitely do. And I think that's on every level. Again, NFL did it because there's more money, right? College did it now there's 6 this year, right? It's just there's more money. High school doing it, they'll make a couple more $100, not more money, but it gives an opportunity to play in a bigger stage, right? Bigger spotlight, bigger game, big what if scenario, gets a high school energetic for the week. Again, that's why you're going to see high school teams going 3-7 and making the playoffs, because that 3-7 team, that Monday through Friday, wherever they are, everybody's still hyped. Everybody's still saying, hey, it's the playoff. Hey, everybody. And that's enough to push the sport forward. And I think that's what, at the end of the day, that's all we want. Again, we're talking high school sports here, where it's not about them saying, okay, this playoff game is going to take you to the NFL. No, it's going to give you a week to prepare like it's your Super Bowl. It's going to give you a week, to give this organization, the school itself, an opportunity to do something different, do something bigger, maybe be on TV. Who knows? The cheerleaders might be on TV for the first time all year because they're playing a top-ranked team. Who knows? But all those things they become important for, 16, 17, 18-year-olds to experience that and kind of, oh, this is cool. This playoff thing is pretty cool. Now, next year, I hope we go further. And then if the whole community starts talking, next year we want to go further. Then the kids start saying, I'm going to lift more weights so we can go further next year. And then the other kids say, oh, let's run some extra sprints so we can go further next year. And I think you buy into that. That experience can take you a long way of just having a little bit of success, just tasting a little bit of success can kind of take you to the next level. So I love the playoff. Even in Pee Wee football, right? There's more playoff games, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, baby. I coach Pee Wee football. Sorry.
Yes, I love it. That's the only pure football left, brother. Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah. Actually, so I'm going to throw a question out there. So my son and all the other wide receivers, my son's a wide receiver. At that age, he's that 8 to 9-year-old group right now. You know what I mean? Any direct advice for a young man, which I do believe it is 9:44 here. He should be in bed. So if he's watching, we'll have a little conversation. But is there any advice you can give the 8, 9, to 10 to 12-year-olds, before they go into junior high? Like anything direct that you could say to those young men?
Well, most kids, when I talk to that young, I say, what's your goal? If your goal is to be a varsity starter, if your goal is to play college football, then the next question I ask them, are you the hardest worker on the team? If you're not the hardest worker on the team, you're not going to get your goal. And I think that information probably should be able to work for them the rest of their life in anything they do. Because as me and you both know, we're using football as a caveat to get you to listen, to get you to have discipline, to get you to work harder, right? Because if you instill all those things at 10, at 22, they're unstoppable. So if the kid understands that, I'm going to be the hardest worker on the team, then that kid ends up usually becoming the best player on the team. Best player on the team ends up going to college, and And I think that's just where it starts. That's where I usually ask, if you're the hardest worker on the team, you got a shot. And most kids who are the hardest worker at that age, especially, they have passion for it. They love it. It's not, oh, I have to go to practice. It's like, you know what? I get to go to practice today.
Yeah, he's talking about at that
Thank you.
level. As we get ready for these kids who, in some cases, it's the first time they've ever played in a playoff game, and the lights get brighter. And, even though, like you said, you didn't play in the playoffs when you were in high school, you definitely played in some big games, and the lights get bright. And there's always that anxieties or those things that the night before, as we are on the eve of the first time ever in Ashtabula County, where 6 separate teams have made the playoffs, 75%. Playoff in this area.
Amazing.
What advice do you have to these young athletes as they prepare, in some cases, for the biggest game they've ever played in?
Enjoy the moment. Never let the moment be bigger than you, but enjoy it. It's like, because you don't get it again. I made a comment to somebody, like, I played in more playoff games than the great Barry Sanders. It's just like,
wow.
things like that. It's like, you think about certain, like, legends of our game, and you look back at their career, like, they didn't play in a lot of big games, or they didn't play in Monday night, because Monday night, back in the day, there weren't a lot of Monday night games. And then if they weren't in a big market, they didn't play on Sunday night. So it's like, I played in a lot, I think 8 playoff games, which is a lot of playoff games for a career. And enjoy each one, because you're not guaranteed to get back there next year. Like, it's hard to get to the playoffs. It's hard to have a good team. It's hard for the whole team to stay healthy. If you guys are sitting up now and just tomorrow, it's all football. Like, the X's and O's that's the easy part, right? But the part that you're going to remember is, yeah, man, I called my buddy at 10 o'clock at night, and I told him how nervous I was, and we started playing Madden, and we were up till midnight playing. Like, that's the story that they'll remember. They're probably not going to remember a 3rd and 6, And I think that's what they have to take away from this. It's the moment. It's a beautiful moment. It's fun. It's energetic. The whole world's watching, your whole world as a community, right? That's the whole world when you talk to a high school kid.
Yep.
But again, the world's watching. And like I said, the X's and O's, whatever you've been doing for the last 10 weeks or 2 years, that stuff starts to come out. The work ethic you've been showing is going to come out on Friday regardless, win or lose or draw. It's not the win or lose. It's what you find out about yourself, throughout that process.
He did say he's, played more than Barry Sanders, but I also believe he's played in more playoff games than the Browns since 1990. I'm a Browns fan. By all means, I'm not.
Wow, that one might be true too, right?
It's not a might.
I'm scared to Google that. I'm scared to Google that. I'm gonna leave that one alone.
You know what? You talked about enjoying the moments. You talked about embracing it and taking it in. And Ryan asked you about the moment that you remember from the NFL. One of the things I want to say before we let you go is, what is one of the moments that you remember from home? During it doesn't, whether it's senior season, sophomore season, what is a moment that when, you go back down Route 11 and you're getting ready to go to that Jefferson High School, whenever you get a chance, what's the first thing that's going to pop into Matt Hatchett's head?
I think the Ashtabula game, of course, because people talk about it the most, because my best friends till today is, right, Ryan Banks, Terry Hinton, and Ahmad Wells, Bree, right, my best friend Bree. And they were on Ashtabula, and me and Banks were on, and of course playing for Jefferson. And then I guess their coach made the comment. He said, "If Jefferson beats us, I'm going to walk home." And we beat the brakes off of them. So he walked home. So that's like the memory that we, me and Bree and Terry Banks, we all talk about till today, which is great. But I like the memory that sits in my gut is just me and Banks just going out in that parking lot and throwing the ball over and over, and routes over and over, and hours. And playing, on that concrete, which is not good for your knees and hips, by the way. But there was nowhere else we could, because don't forget, back in the day you had grass, so you can't get on the grass and mess up the grass. So we just ran on that parking lot, that concrete parking lot. We ran for hours upon hours on that concrete parking lot. And I think that's, till today, is, why I have the work ethic I do. It all goes back to, that 14, 15, 16-year-old me and Banks just, working out for hours upon hours, man.
Yeah, you mentioned another name in there too, as Coach Terry Henton now, preparing to get ready for his game against Struthers. I think that was Flat Top Terry back in the day, though.
Flat Top Terry. yeah.
He might be watching too, buddy.
He better be watching. Yeah, Terry's doing a great job over there. Yeah. Again, we talked in the off. We talked a lot in the off season because he was preparing for his first year as an offensive coordinator. Me, I'm going to give him, every nugget that I have, but again, most thing I was telling him was like, let your personality come out. It's a feel. It's not it's funny as, we talk X's and O's, so people think it's X's and O's. It's not an X and O thing. It's a feel. It's a timing. It's a grittiness to the call. Like, you either have the kahunas to make the call or you don't. And of course, like I said, they're going to the playoffs. He's doing a great job. He's, I think he's on his way up the ladder as a coordinator. He's doing great things, man. That's my guy. I love him to death.
All right. Last question before I let you go. Matt, first, again, like I said, thanks for coming on the show. Mm-hmm. The Falcons are getting ready to take on Poland Seminary, and I'm pretty sure Poland was a powerhouse even back when you was playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's winning this game on Friday?
Jefferson's winning this thing. Stop playing. Don't even ask.
I love it.
Hey, man, there's no, well, let me break it down. There's no break it down. They're coming to the crib. They gonna come out to this country and be like, where are we? And we go see Cal's on the right and Cal's on the left. And like, we never heard of Jefferson. You gosh dang right, but you go hear about us tonight. Let's go get that win, Falcons country.
I love it.
We can't end it any better than that. Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Anytime, man. You guys let me know. I'm around. Let me know.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
All right. Peace, guys.
Bye.
Guys, it doesn't get better than that.
I mean, local legend, Matt Hatchett, the Hatch. Oh, what an interview. What a great time to have, enjoy it and really got to know. I mean, not just hang out and talk X's and O's like you said. We got to know who Matt Hatchett is.
There is a path to success, and you're going to see it. And that's what I told him when he was on the show. To get to that next level, certain people ooze not just the charisma, but you can tell the work ethic is there too. Certain people get it done, refuse to lose, and he's one of those guys. Yep. And my sincere hope in getting guys like that to come on this show is that these young athletes get to see it could be you, but you got to do the work. If you never take no for an answer, listen to your coaches, work hard, work when they're not watching you. And that's how you can get there. Those guys are proof. But you know what? We're going to go to a quick word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more high school football playoffs, as well as the stat leaders in this playoff extravaganza with Matt Hatchett, man. I don't know. I'm still wrapping my head around it.
I can't. Yeah. We'll be right back.
440 and Gold welcomes in Play All Awards and Engraving. Awards, they do them all at Play All. Play All offers a full line of acrylics, desk accessories, plaques, sports awards, and more. A staple of Ashtabula County, Play All has been in service since 1993, helping the likes of educators, coaches, and individuals just like you. You can visit Play All at 4542 Main Avenue in beautiful downtown Ashtabula, Ohio, or call them at 440-992-7529 with any questions.
440 and Gold.
All right, welcome back.
Whew.
So we're gonna blitz right through it here as almost 10 o'clock. There, you guys got to see the touchdown reel and the youngsters playing some football over there. That 8 and 9-year-old group, and then the 10 through 12-year-old varsity Super Bowl as well. There, we were able to cover this weekend with a great weekend. But Sam, let's go right into it. Go ahead.
Before we go,
Where are we
big
going?
Congratulations to the JV Lakeside FYFL team
Yep.
on winning their Super Bowl. And then also another congratulations to the varsity Conneaut LYFL teams, or not LYFL, but YFL teams,
Yep.
as they go out and get the Super Bowl done. And what an amazing season they had. And congratulations to those guys. But like Ryan said, we got to get to some stats.
Here we go, rock and rolling right through it. I'll let you start it off, Sam.
All right, so these are week 10. So these are going to be the final season leaders. There are a couple people that we're still waiting on some stats from, and they are marked accordingly. But these are the top 10 passers in Ashtabula County for the 2022 season, starting off with Edgewood's touchdown, Tony Hall, 131 completions, 244 on the attempts, 1,896 yards total with 20 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Almost got 1,900 yards on that one.
Yep.
Vin Narducci, 94 for 197 with 1,259
St.
yards.
John coming in second, baby.
Every year they go
Good
out and throw
night.
that pigskin around. 8 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Grand Valley's Nate Chef Boyarski getting it done. 90 completions with 185 attempts, 1,225 yards, 15 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Followed closely behind by Alex DeSalvatore from Lakeside, who is going to be 69 for 122, 975 yards, 12 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Grant Hitchcock, who goes to Jeff Jefferson, not LHS, with 855 yards, only 89 attempts on that one. 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Conneaut's Max Gleason with 761 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kenny Young and the Geneva boys getting it done with 450 yards, 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Ryan Croston out there, 430 in the yardage, 3 touchdown interceptions.
All right, moving into it. Didn't realize there's going to be 10, so I'm going to rifle right on through it, Sam. So Conneaut, Zach Rice, 170 carries for 1,215 yards, 6 touchdowns. PV's Ryan Croston, 170 yards, 1,164 yards on the ground with 6 Tud Burgers, as you like to call them.
Tud Rockets, baby.
Tud Rockets. Tud Burgers, Tud Rockets, it don't matter. They all count for 6 points. But Jefferson's Great Hitchcock, 119 carries for 1,157 yards with 12 touchdowns on the season.
Second year in a row, he's gotten over 1,000 yards.
Both sides, right? Yeah, 1,000 for 1,000, right?
He didn't get 1,000 in the air, but he did get 1,000 on
did
the
he?
ground
Sorry.
this year.
PV's Ty Vickery, 150 carries, 922 yards, 13 touchdowns. Geneva's Luke Smith, 99 carries, 902 yards, 12 touchdowns. Conneaut's Max Gleason, 123 carries, 788 yards, 11 touchdowns. Jefferson's Luke Funtash coming in hot, 116 for 677 and 5 touchdowns. And Conneaut's Wyatt Payne, 84 carries, 584 yards and 7 touchdowns.
One to talk about over there on that rushing side is Luke Smith, who's averaging 9 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. As we go into the – is rushing on there twice?
Nope. I just
okay.
went back. Yeah, because you started back to
All
talk
right,
about
sorry,
it. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
So we go into the
Got it.
receivers, and there's no surprise here. We knew he was going to end the year as Ashtabula County's leading wide receiver. That's the Grasshopper. Grand Valley's Bobby Rogers gets it done. 56 receptions, 819 yards for that man, 11 touchdowns. Right behind him is going to be Christian Cunningham, who had a second half of the year that you could only dream of. Ends the year with 43 receptions, 741 yards, 10 touchdowns.
3 of them tutties coming from
That
the rival game. Yep.
Yes, sir. Matt Miller getting it done for the St. John Heralds, 36 receptions, 621 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Trent Hodge, baby, like a rock. 37 receptions, 552 yards, 5 touchdowns. Jimmy Timoneer, 23 for 406 and 4 touchdowns. He probably has got a couple more, as we don't have all the stats on him yet. And Big Willie Styles all in it at the St. John Herald's place. Will Anderson, 32 for 400, 4 touchdown. Jacob Ernst with 23 and 385, 3 touchdowns. He's a guy who really, another guy who stepped up at the end of the year. This kid, keep your eyes on him. He's going to be back again next year. The kid's a stud. And another one to keep your eyes on is Anthony Hunt, 25 receptions, 279, and 1 touchdown.
Which one's B Button?
B-Button ain't up there yet, but he'll be there next
Yeah, he
year.
will,
That's Zach Hall.
Zach Hall. Sorry, just want to make sure I got it right without screwing it up. Anyways, moving into it, we're going to have our tackle leaders and a lot on the board here. But Jefferson's Wade Woodworth with 122, Edgewood's Seth Enos 120, followed closely by Freaky Zeke Lucas 104 and a half of them bad boys. Conneaut's Ty Colville with 92 and a half. Malachi Donahue for the Dragons with 83. Again, not official just yet, but we're probably going to be pretty close. Cam Crockett with 72 and a half of them. Caleb Stitt, Dragon, and yet another Dragon, Caleb Stitt with 67 of them. Jefferson's Trent Hodge with 63 and a half. Conneaut's Bryce Spurlin with 62. And Grand Valley's Robert Rogers, not only doing it on the offensive side of the ball, getting busy on the defensive side.
And he was a leader last year as well for Grand Valley. That kid is just a stud too, man.
Yep.
All right, moving over. And the reason why he's got 122 tackles is because 22 of them happened behind the line of scrimmage, baby. Wade Woodworth, the Jefferson Falcon, 22 tackles for loss. Right behind him is going to be Conneaut's Jaden Anderson with 16. Seth Enos not too far behind with 14. Freaky Zeke with 12 of them from the Edgewood Warriors. Malachi Donahue so far with 10. Conneaut's Bryce Spurlin with 9. He's going to be tied with Jefferson's Preston Reams with 9. Behind them is going to be Moses Schwartz of the Conneaut Spartans. Part in the Red Sea, getting it done 8 times. Right behind him, Caleb Stitt from Lakeside. We'll see if that number goes up here soon. And then Grand Valley's Brady Bogdan rounding it out with 7.5.
All right, going right into the sack leaders, Conneaut, who has, I think he's led all season long. Ty Colville, if I recall right, it's been pretty close.
A foot race between him and Cargill.
Okay, actually the foot race is over and it's a tie.
That's it.
So Ty Colville with 5 for Conneaut. PV's Cameron.
Yeah.
I did it last week and I thought I was going to correct it this week and I didn't. Cameron Cargill with 5 of them. Conneaut's Jaden Anderson with 4. Conneaut Scott Edwards with 4. Conneaut's Darren Christine with 4. You know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I should know this, but you want to talk about, that's 20 sacks.
Listen,
that's 2 sacks a game those kids were averaging out there.
I didn't know Conneaut was part of Idaho because they got sacks out there, man.
Just bringing the potatoes with them. You know that's right. But yeah, PV's Chase Vickery with 4. Geneva's Matt Wright with 4. Geneva's Jake Wilson with 4. Jefferson's Preston Reams with 3. And Grand Valley's Dylan Hyvick coming in with 3 himself as well.
And he got those 3 in 2 weeks.
Did he?
Yes. In 2 weeks, he had 3 sacks. Well done.
Yep.
All right. And then we got hey, I've been waiting for this one the whole show. With 7 county leading interceptions, Angelo Colasso. And he gets that 7th one in Grand EOS fashion, baby. If you haven't seen the Battle of the Bridge this year, you've heard of ESPN Classic. We're going to call it a YSN Classic. It's the best football game you're going to see all year. Angelo Colasso does his best interpretation of that Tennessee Titans Rams Super Bowl, stopping 1 yard before the end zone, but did everything he could. Nothing to be ashamed for. That young man has been a phenomenal player for the Lakeside Dragons all year. 7 interceptions for him. Okay, Wyatt Payne going to be a pain for a lot of offenses this year with 5 interceptions. Behind him, Hunter Brott from the Edgewood Warriors, Gio Rice and the Geneva Eagles, who lead the county in takeaways with 4. Jimmy Severino and the St. John Heralds with 3, and Jace Folkman of PV fame is going to have 3 himself.
All right. And that is, that's the end of the stats. What are we hitting?
Next, we're going to talk about the Week 10 results.
Week 10 results. I'll click that button just like that.
I'll start it off as we talk about that Battle of the Bridge game. That was an instant classic. Lakeside going to end the year 6-4, as will the Edgewood Warriors end 6-4. Lakeside 28, Edgewood 32.
Jefferson going to go, were they home? No, they were away. They're going to go down or away.
No, they were home.
Were they home?
Yep, they were
yes. All right. So Lakeview going to come visit the Falcons, and the Falcons have their way with them. 27-7. Jefferson ended the season 7-3. Lakeview ended it out at 3-7.
And Conneaut does their job and make sure they get that home advantage. And for those of you who don't know, we actually will be at Conneaut this week, calling their game against the Garfield G-Men. 4-4-0 and goal making its debut, baby.
Yep.
Conneaut going to go up 13-6 over the Harbor Creek. I believe they're the Wolves.
Sounds right. Sounds good. Either way. Geneva 34, Chagrin Falls 0, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I'm assuming, but Geneva ending, another great season there. 7-3. Going to be number 9 seed in their region. Going to go take on next week Gilmore Academy.
Yeah, Gilmore Academy is going to be hosting them for this playoff game this week. Grand Valley, they end the season the way you should. Getting that W. We said it was happening. Grand Valley, a much better team than people thought they were. Grand Valley is going to beat the Beechwood Bisons, and it's all about bison burgers in Grand Valley right now. 20-14. Sorry, that score didn't make it on the. I think I accidentally deleted it.
Doesn't matter. They got the W.
They got 20 and Beechwood got less. That's how that ends.
I knew I was right. They were home. Ray confirmed. Thanks, Ray. Sorry. PV 4-6 on the year, defeating Matthews, which I'm going to quickly call it upset of the week.
Biggest upset of the week, 100%.
Upset of the week.
Oh no, I don't know. Lakeside was a 21-point favorite on Edgewood.
Yeah. Well,
as
we're going to call them close.
Yeah.
It was a close, both of them. Great games, but PV, I think we actually both picked Matthews, if I recall.
Yes.
But we'll have to double check that. But either way, PV.
Oh, they let me know when I went and got that interview.
Perfect. PV letting us know that we were wrong over here at 4-4-0 in goal. But they defeat Matthews 24-14. They're going into the playoffs, and they're taking on, I know this, but
Brookfield.
Brookfield. Yep, they're taking on Brookfield next
9-1
or tomorrow night.
Yeah, they are going to Brookfield. Tough game, but listen, don't count the Lakers out.
Nope.
Country strong are those folks.
Yep.
St. John is going to fall to Fairport Harbor a second time, ending their year 2-8 as Fairport solidifies their spot in the playoffs with a 4-6 record.
Yep. All right, and that is the end of that one. And then week 11 matchups, right, Sam?
Yeah, so this is going to be this week's version of Pick'em. We don't have a different graphic. We're just going to stick with this one because guess what? These are the only games that matter to us.
Yep.
So, Ryan, I will let you start as number 15 Lakeside, who are 6-4, are going to travel to Paynesville to take on Riverside, 9-1, the number 2 seed in Division 2.
Yeah. Man. Listen, I want to pick all the county teams. Like, that's just what I want to do right now, regardless whether it's right or wrong. But I do got to take on this one. Riverside's a tough squad. No bones about it. Number 2, number 15, 9-1. Definitely, I got to go Riverside on this one. I hope Lakeside comes out and proves me wrong like PV did last week.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that one as well. Riverside is a field goal away from being 9-1. That field goal loss is to Menor.
Yeah.
So they went up to the biggest
10-0.
Or I'm sorry, 10-0. Excuse me.
Right,
yeah.
right. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. 10-0. That field goal loss comes to Menor, who is the biggest school in Asheville in the state of Ohio.
Right.
I think it's just going to be too much for Lakeside, who's just hurt, and they're not going to be. Hopefully, they keep it close on this one.
Yeah. Moving in, we're going to go just right across the top there. So Edgewood's going to be taking.
I can't wait for this one. I've been waiting for this one for 2 days now.
It's going to be an interesting game. One thing Edgewood's proved, Sam, is they figured out how to throw that ball, throw that thing. 260, I think it was last week against the Dragons, and 3 Tud Rockets. So for Tony Hall, X factor right there is Tony Hall right across the board. If they do that same thing again against Struthers, I'm going to take Edgewood because I think they got it.
Yeah. Guess what? Hey, listen, Struthers.
Yep.
I'm picking Edgewood here.
Yep.
Edgewood Warriors fan right here, baby. It's going to be Edgewood taking this one. I'm going with Edgewood. I think Tony Hall, touchdown Tony Tropicana.
Yep.
Call him what you want, but don't call him late for dinner.
Right.
Tony Hall and the boys are going to get it done. I think that they are going to be able to spread the ball out, let the receivers do the work. I will tell you this, Tony Hall, you call him the X Factor. The X Factor this week, I'm going to put a different one. Nick Barger. Nick
Yeah,
Barger and the
That's a
defensive
great
line.
call.
Nick
That's a
Wyman,
great call.
Nick Barger, the two
Yeah.
Nicks. You guys got to get it done this week because they're coming right at you and they're going to be running the ball.
All right, Conneaut, the YSN 440 and goal game of the week for
That's
us.
right, baby. Coming on as
Yeah.
the Spartans take on the G-Men.
At home. It's going to be an interesting game. Both 8-2, the number 8 squad, the number 9 squad. This usually always ends up into a little bit of a clash, a
that's
little bit of a
exactly it.
banger. I don't know a lot about Garfield, but I do know a lot about Conneaut, and Zach Rice is about to go out there and get busy. The Quiet Riot's going to put the G-Men in the garbage can where they belong, and they're going to get it.
Listen, arroz con touchdown. We called it all year. I'm calling it arroz con victory.
Yep.
Zach Rice taking it to the house. It's going to be the Conneaut Spartans saying, "This is Sparta."
Rolling into it, Geneva, number 9, and another number 9 and 8 battle. But the Eagles going up against 8-1 Gilmore Academy. I've seen the Eagles have a lot of success against a lot of teams they weren't supposed to have success against this year. The Geneva Eagles, I'm not going to call. I mean, for me right now, it's the what do I want to call it? Not mystery team of the year, but kind of the the team. Again, they weren't supposed to have that much success, so I don't know what the word is for it, but I think that they're going to go out there 8-1 Gilmore. I got to take Geneva on this one. Wing T, 5 running backs, let it ride, have a good time. Kenny Young getting busy in the backfield too.
Listen, Gilmore Academy is a team that's going to try and spread out the ball and get it done. One thing I can tell you, one thing I've learned this year, if it's a running team versus a passing team, the running team's going to win. Cool Hand Luke and the boys get it done. Let's go, Eagles.
Going to be fun. Another game that's going to be covered on YSN as well. The number 6 Jefferson Falcons taking on number 11 Poland, 5-5 squad. All the energy tonight, the way the night went with, former Falcon, former NFL player Matt Hatchett joining us on the show. I can't help myself. I got to take Jefferson on this one. They beat him once already. I think they're going to get him again. Let the Tower of Falcons out there do their thing.
Listen, Jefferson versus Poland Seminary. So nice we had to beat them twice. Give me the Falcons all the way. Grant Hitchcock. I can't wait, baby. It's going down. I'm yelling timber. Yep. It's going the Falcon Pride Stadium. We're probably going to be able to hear it all the way in Conneaut. I can't wait. The best band in the land, the best team in the land. It's Falcons time, baby.
Yep. Last but not least, number 12 PV, 4-6 on the year, going to take on Brookfield, 9-1. This was going to be tough. I'm gonna let you go this one first, Sam.
Yeah, we're gonna they call it reverse skate on this one.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about the PV Lakers. The PV Lakers are a team that they are young. They lost a bunch of guys last year that were big-time players. This is a team that had to rebuild, and they had to figure it out. They had a tough year. I've had to pick against them this year, and it breaks my heart because I love this team. I love the kids. I think they're just a great bunch of guys. It's hard to pick against a team like Brookfield. Brookfield has not only gone out and beat people, they have beat the tar out of people, including the G-Men, who are a top-tier team, a playoff team. So, it's hard. It's going to be hard. I cannot, in good faith, pick the PV Lakers in this one, but I'm going to anyway, because when you pick against the Lakers, you lose. I did that last week. Matthews was 8-1, and they are now 8-2. And next week, the PV Lakers will be 5-6 or 5-6.
Yep. Yeah. I get it, Sam. I do. I just, I get you riding the gravy train all the way home there, but it is what it is.
Just remember
I'm going to be the wrong guy. I'm sorry.
Just remember this.
I have to. I've been a realistic picker all year, Sam. Just throwing that one out there. It is what it is. I am going to have to take Brookfield on this one. That's just where I'm at with it. And
remember when he picked
prove me wrong. You did it once already. Do it again, please.
He picked against Rootstown too.
Yep. Yes, I did. Hey, I'll take it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Listen, that's all we got tonight, folks. First of all, thanks everybody for joining us tonight as we
proceed into Friday night.
I mean, we get ready for the biggest playoff weekend in Ashtabula County history with a 75% playoff rate. It's unheard of. That's the biggest in the state of Ohio.
2 teams hosting.
When was the last time an Ashtabula County team won a state playoff game besides PV? 2 years ago?
Right.
That's it. That's the last time.
Yep.
Conneaut's hosting for the first time in 37
We got Conneaut and Jefferson both hosting. Jefferson, that's the first time ever. It's just going to be a great night. Can't wait. Get ready for the biggest night in Ashtabula County history as we head out. Big shout out to Matt Hatchett for coming on the show tonight. It's been a great show. I can't wait to continue from here.
Yep, going to be a lot of fun. Tune in tomorrow night, about 6:45, 6:50, YSNlive.com. Conneaut taking on the G-Men and the showdown over there. It's going to be a great game.
Coming on out to Conneaut, baby. The edge of Ohio for the edge of your seat type of win.
Yep. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. I'm Ryan, my partner, Sam. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
That's right. Love, peace, and chicken grease, y'all.
We're out.